Hey, this is Revo. Today we're gonna scare a couple of the boys. It's good.
When a team makes a move to acquire a star, it is hard to imagine how that team could possibly be worse with additional talent. When it comes to the sport of hockey, it can be extremely difficult, if not near impossible, to predict chemistry. Chemistry is tricky. You can't see it, you can't interact with it. That's because it is intangible. But what we do know is that without it, a star-studded team will fail. And over the past couple decades, we have seen players single-handedly ruin a team's chemistry so badly that their before and after team record speaks for itself.
Well, I know you mentioned you're not actively shopping someone like PK Subban, but
PK's an elite defenseman, and he's part of Canadian, and he'll be for a long time.
Mark, big news today in Brossard. You've just made one of the biggest trades in franchise history.
But first of all, the biggest one, the New Jersey Devils, who were unable to acquire Jacob Trouba from Winnipeg, went out and said, okay, we'll take PK Subban.
After a very historic fallout with the Montreal Canadiens, Nashville would shock the hockey world. On June 22nd, 2019, PK Subban and his massive contract would be unloaded on the New Jersey Devils. And considering that only 1 year prior, Subban finished third in Norris voting, well, this was setting up to be an absolute robbery for the New Jersey Devils, especially because they had ample cap space. Now factor in the Devils signed Nikita Gusev. They drafted Jack Hughes first overall, had a 1 year removed Hart winner. On top of having many exciting young stars in the lineup, there were serious talks about how the New Jersey Devils may be a playoff team a lot sooner than later. I mean, even personally, I didn't think the playoffs were a far stretch if they had a healthy Taylor Hall. So, with their newly acquired franchise defenseman in center, what would happen? Yeah. Instead of moving forward in their rebuild, after acquiring and drafting cornerstone players, the New Jersey Devils would start the season losing 6 games in a row. But hey, the season is still young. Somehow, the New Jersey Devils would get significantly worse, even though they only added star power. But that's not all. To add another layer of complete and utter confusion, after the Devils realized they had a sinking ship, they would trade Taylor Hall to Arizona for picks and prospects. So, after shipping out the previous Hart winner, miraculously, the Devils would win. Before the trade, they had a 9-22 record. Also, the website I get data from counts overtime losses as losses, just to clear any confusion. But with a 9-22 record, that means they were on pace for 24 wins. However, after trading away a superstar in Hall, and I'm not even joking, the Devils were on pace for 41 wins. 41. Meaning, if they played at this pace all season, they had a clear shot at the playoffs. And to add another layer of complete and utter confusion, and this is just getting absurd, when Taylor Hall was acquired, the Arizona Coyotes had a 20-16 record. They were above a 500 team. However, after acquiring Taylor Hall, Arizona would go from a hopeful playoff team to having a 13-21 record. Light years away from playoff contention. Why? I feel like Taylor Hall gets ragged on a lot these days. We can't discredit the fact that he did win a Hart Trophy, and the fact that he's been an all-star his entire career. But after leaving the Devils, New Jersey would win. After joining the Coyotes, they would lose. I think I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Entering double overtime, the anxiety that any bounce of the puck could decide the fate of the series was palpable.
Crosby on Kunitz, a shot!
After being eliminated in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, the Senators were devastated. They got so close, but so far. So, with a young and star-studded team, Ottawa was on a mission to acquire a #1 center. And as always, if you enjoy the videos, make sure to press subscribe for some more awesome hockey content. We are getting so close to 40,000 subscribers, which is my goal for this year. So if you can, any support would mean the world to me. So, after searching the market, the Senators would zone in on a disgruntled Matt Duchene, and we would see a massive three-way blockbuster trade unravel. Now, I have covered this trade a couple times in the past, so we won't go into too much detail, but to sum it up, Joe Sakic basically stole candy from two infants. But regardless, with one of the best puck-moving defensemen in NHL history, with the developing Mark Stone and Mike Hoffman, adding a number one center in Matt Duchene will only make the team better. I hope it would. Well, you lost money if you bet on that rationale. Because after the notorious Uber incident, the Ottawa Senators would implode from the inside, as they went from a serious competitor in the East, coming off an impressive 98-point season. They acquired Matt Duchene, and I do want to emphasize, it's not like they took a small step back in progression. No, they would finish second last in the entire NHL. A ridiculous fall off, especially when you consider that, again, they only added a superstar to the lineup, to the same lineup that almost made it to the finals. An absolutely ludicrous turn of events that kickstarted a complete system overhaul in Ottawa. Now, after years of torture for Sens fans, Ottawa definitely has a bright future. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This trade was a disaster. And just like how we identified a pattern with Taylor Hall, after Colorado would trade away Duchene, the Avs would go from having their worst season in franchise history, trade Duchene, and finish with 95 points. Yes, another very obvious pattern. And I do want to emphasize, I always hear the narrative that maybe Duchene is just a massive locker room cancer, but I do want to say, Duchene routinely finishes high in Lady Bing voting. Meaning, he's a great guy. A lot of people really like him. So Matt Duchene is really a great example on how you can't predict chemistry. Next, with the Montreal Canadiens. And just like Ottawa, the Burger Man was desperately searching for that number one center, as it was the missing piece. And of course, first-line centers do not grow on trees, and you have to pay an arm and a leg to trade for one. And so, after exploring a couple different options, Bergevin and the Montreal Canadiens would decide to take a slightly different approach. Instead of trading for that bona fide number one, instead, they would target Jonathan Drouin, a young, exciting talent who wasn't proven yet, but with the right development, he had some serious upside. Unfortunately though, the price tag was Mikhail Sergachev, who has of course developed into a star on the blue line and has potential Norris upside. But that is beside the point. In 2017, the Montreal Canadiens had an excellent season, as they would finish first in the Atlantic Division with 103 points. Things were going extremely well, so when they decided to add that missing piece, you could only expect things to get better. However, the Canadiens would go from first in the Atlantic Division to fourth last in the entire NHL. And what's even more absurd about the situation is the fact that Drouin did not work out as a center. They tried, but after one season, Montreal would just give up on that idea. So instead, they would focus on drafting and developing that number one center. And I mean, it has worked out, as Kotkaniemi has had some rough bumps on the way, but he has what it takes to be that elite two-way center. Suzuki was a dark horse stud last season, and they still have Deneau, who is a very underrated and reliable player. Bergevin gets doubted a lot, but we have seen some good progression. However, I will say, putting that much weight on a 22-year-old playing center for the first time at the NHL level was a bet I personally wouldn't take, but what do you guys think? But anyways guys, can you think of an example of when a team acquired a star and somehow they got worse? Comment down below, I'd love to know. And make sure to press subscribe for some more awesome hockey content. And I do apologize because I always feel like I'm kind of repeating myself on this topic, but I am still just shocked from the progress and support the RTH channel has seen in the year 2020. It means a great deal to me when I read you guys' comments. I love interacting with you guys. And so I hope all you guys are doing well. We're almost done this year, so hopefully 2021 will be a bit better. But anyways, see you guys later.